All right, let's do a quick overview of how we can solve these fill in the blank questions, okay? So, I always recommend first go to the questions. Don't read the passage first. Now this is about part one. This is about the part one of reading. Usually this passage might be the shortest or the least complex. You know, it's usually about some nature or science, but light science topic, not too many references to people or dates. So you could probably read this, but I think it's a mistake to get into the habit of reading the passage. Go for the questions and read what you need to read. Okay, so let's look at the first question. Blank have different application procedures and must be contacted directly. Always read the instructions. All right, your instinct is to go right for the questions, but with a fill in the blank, sometimes it's use no more than 2 words. Sometimes use no more than 3 words, right? You sometimes use no more than 1 word. Always read your instructions, which in this case say, write no more than 2 words and or a number. Right? No more than 2 words. So that's a good guide. Blank have different application procedures and must be contacted directly. So we need to pull the keywords out of the question. All right, number 1, keywords are going to be numbers. There are no numbers here. Verbs. We're looking for something about procedures and contacted directly. So the second most important keywords, all right, in your questions after the numbers and the dates are going to be the verbs and their connected adverbs. All right, so you find what is being done and then how it is done, because those are very difficult to paraphrase. Difficult to change the words because verbs just have their meaning, and it's usually very clear. So you can clearly find the match in the text. All right? So we're looking for procedures and contacted directly. So we'll go to the text. We will scan through the text for those verbs. All right, skim or scan. And because it's the first question, the answer is going to be near the top. That's just how the IELTS exam works. Questions always come in order. If you want your child to go to a school in our town, the procedures, boom. Procedures in the question, procedures in the text. Differ slightly depending on whether you require a primary or secondary school. This system should not be used for private schools, which you should get in touch with. So we got procedures. Now we need to match also contacted directly, right? This system should not be used for private schools, which you should get in touch with yourself. Get in touch with yourself. Okay, so it says private schools, get in touch with yourself. All right, we might not know the exact meaning of that phrase, right? It's a phrasal verb. We don't know the exact meaning. But we do know we're in the area of the answer because we got procedures differ slightly in the text and different application procedures in the question. So what has different application procedures? Going to school has different application procedures for primary and secondary school. So primary and secondary school have different application procedures. And then also, this system should not be used for private schools, which also you have to get in touch with yourself. So they talk about primary and secondary and private. So there's 3 different types of school: primary, secondary, private. All 3 have different procedures, right? So primary has one procedure, secondary has a different procedure, and private has another procedure, which you need to get in touch with yourself. So we need to know which one of those 3 matches must be contacted directly. Well, it's clear. Primary has a different procedure, but they don't tell you what it is. Secondary has a different procedure, but what is it? We don't know. We have to read further, and that's not what we're doing. Private, it has a different procedure, which you should get in touch with yourself. Private, it says, this system should not be used for private schools, all right, and then they tell you what to do. You should get in touch with yourself if you want to educate your child privately. That's the only procedure. That's the only thing they tell you what to do. Procedure, what to do. They tell you what to do for private. So, our answer, what has a different procedure, and it must be contacted directly. The only one we know is private. So, we would say something like private schools. All right, private schools is what they say in the text, right? They don't say private school, singular. They say private schools with an S at the end. So that has to be our answer. It is no more than 2 words. Boom. Now that was a long analysis of one question. Let's do one more. We'll try to do it a little faster. The blank in which people live determines which schools will give entrance preference. All right, so that's question number 2. The blank in which people live determines which schools will give entrance preference. And we've already answered number 1, so we're going to go to the next paragraph. For both primary and secondary schools, which school your child can go to usually depends on where you live. All right, let's pull out those keywords. People live, there's our verb, right? In which people live, boom, verb. People live. In the text, where you live, clear match. That's our answer. Determines which schools will give entrance preference. Which school your child can go to. All right, which school your child can go to, and which school will give entrance preference. So that's not quite exactly the same. It's the same topic, but we want that give entrance preference. So if we keep reading, each school has a catchment area, and you will get preference for it. Get preference, entrance preference. Boom. There's our match. That's the answer. Each school has a catchment area, and you will get preference for it. So we might want to write the area in which people live, but, all right, it's no more than 2 words, and they very clearly say catchment area. Now, catchment is a word you might not know the definition, but you know the word area, and the word before it is an adjective. It's an adjective. Just like schools is a word, but private schools is the adjective that modifies that noun, right? Number one is private schools. We can't just say schools. Going back to question number one, we can't answer schools have different application procedures and must be contacted directly, because all schools don't need to be contacted directly. Only private schools need to be blah, blah, blah. So same for number two, the area in which you live, in which people live, determines which schools will give interest preference. That's not the full answer. The catchment area in which you live determines which schools. Catchment, I honestly don't know the exact definition. It means something like the root word of catch, right? So it's the area that is covered by a school. It's area covered by a school, area in the school's net, or area caught by the school. So if we're going to make a sentence, the area which area caught by the school where you live determines which school will give you preference. It's complex. It doesn't matter. Just know we can't just write area. We need to use the exact words from the text, which is catchment area. And you go through every question like this, all right? You don't need to read the whole thing. You need to match keywords. And your keywords, especially in part one, where they don't use as many numbers, are going to be those verbs. They're going to be the verbs. Look at question number 3. Parents should apply to blank schools in total in case their preferred school does not accept their child. Now, this one is pretty easy because guess what? It's a number. Parents should apply to blank schools in total. In total means number. How many total? So we're looking for a number. Let's find out. And then our keyword, apply, should apply. There's our adverb and keyword. Parents should apply. So let's find should apply in paragraph 3. Entry, blah, blah, blah. For primary and secondary school, blah, blah, blah. You should apply to 3 schools. You should apply. Match the keywords. Number is our answer. 3. Boom. Done. This is how you go through reading.